Hello everyone and welcome to F2 2019. It is finally here and I'm going to do a last question mark challenge at the Suzuka Circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix coming up this weekend. And yes, this should be good. So we'll be driving as Nobuharu Matsushita, the Japanese driver in F2 for his home race, I guess you could say. But I thought this could be interesting since F2 don't actually go to Japan. So yeah, let's get into it.
Originally built as a circuit for testing cars, Suzuka was later added as a racing circuit for multiple types of motorsport throughout the world, blending many different corner types, high-speed straights, the incredible 130R, and a very unique crossover, giving it the famous figure-of-8 appearance. You can see why this is one of the most famous racing circuits of all time.
So it's a 50% distance race. I'm going to try to get into the top 8 because I think that would be a realistic goal that someone might try to achieve in real life if they were starting from the back. Say Nick de Vries in Monza, for example, even though he ended up on the podium when he started from the back. But anyway, we will try to get into the top 8 and then that would put me in a good position for the sprint race if we're going to go with that scenario. But anyway, let's get into it and see how it goes.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Nicholas Latifi lines up on pole position. Starting alongside is Jordan King. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Giotto, Delatraz, Jack Aitken, Ansete Camara, Boccalacci, Joe, De Vries, Sean Galea, Schumacher, Eilert, Antoine Hubert, and Calderon, Boschon, Mazepin, Correa, and Mahavir Raghunathan, Alesi, and Nobuharu Matsushita rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
I won't let you down. Probably. We'll see as we go to one red light because this is a formation lap. I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are on the grid. 5 red lights. And away we go for the feature race here in Japan. And it's actually been a pretty bad start. Alesi got away well and we can't really do anything to pass him. And we're just going to have to sit behind through the first couple of corners. We actually get held up a little bit going into the next part of the track, and we just really can't do anything. There's no overtaking in this first half a lap really if you don't get him into the first corner, so we're just going to have to sit behind. You can see how slow the train's moving, and I'm looking around but there's just nothing, there's nowhere to go. You can't go offline too much, and as we move on to the Degners, I made a big mistake in the first one, run wide, and got the line completely wrong through the second one, so you get a bad exit towards the hairpin, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to make a move, but we're going to go for it anyway. We go for a big move down the inside past Alesi and Raghunathan, and on the inside of Correa, who does not leave any space on the inside there, but he wouldn't have even seen us coming at that point. But we made something there, a couple of positions there, but not the start I really needed. So we move on now to 130R, and we get a decent run through there, and we're going to go for a dive bomb on Correa, and we go very deep. We're going to be alongside Mazepin already, and we're side by side through the last chicane. He pushes us almost off the track, right to the edge of the little bit of runoff that corner does have, but we had to back out of that, otherwise that would have been an incident, and we'll have to try and refocus, get a good run through these next few corners, and try and have a run at him in the hairpin, but we close right up to the back of him in the first corner, going in a little bit deep there. And we have a little look to the right hand side, and he just about pushes us off the road there again, but we didn't really have any of the car alongside. We were just sort of following his trajectory, but we go for a dive into the hairpin and run wide of the apex, kind of intentionally I must say, and get that move done. So we move on now to the spoon curve, and on the exit we have a bit of a run on Calderon, and we're going to try and go for a move to the inside of 130R, but we don't quite have the speed, so I think we'll back out of it on this attempt, and we actually lose so much speed in the dirty air, having to take an awful line through that corner that we can't make a move into the chicane like I had planned. and we have a big slide through the chicane, and I just can't get the power down, so that's affected the run onto the straight, and
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
I can't even go for a move into the first corner. We've lost quite a lot of time, but as we go into the first corner we run very wide, and actually probably gained a bit of time doing that, but you can see the extra speed we got, but I just got blocked off completely, and I wasn't going to make a move after doing that anyway. It would have probably been an illegal overtake, but we move on to sprint once again. We get a much better exit this time, and we're alongside fully as we go over the bridge, and we're going to be side by side into 130R. This could be interesting, but thankfully she backs out of that, and we finally get the move done up into P15, but we run wide into the chicane and compromise our line in the second part of the corner, and as we get the power down we have a bit of a slide, and that's really compromised their exit speed, and they're both Carlin and Mazepin are going to be looking for moves here. Calderon's alongside, you can see fully past us now, and Mazepin's down the inside as well. We run wide trying to defend, trying to go around the outside, and Calderon is off the hook. Mazepin has, I think something's happened. Let's have a look at the replay. Mazepin goes to the inside, and I think it's one of those classic Suzuka turn 1 incidents you see in the F1 game. The car on the inside spins off of the car on the outside. We'll see it on board with Mazepin here, and you can see the extra speed that he has goes to the inside of Calderon, and just misjudges the corner really, and spins off the right rear tyre of Calderon's car. We'll see the onboard with Calderon. We're not going to see much of the incident, but we can have a look. There's plenty of space on the inside there, so nothing Calderon could have done about that. That was Mazepin's mistake. We'll have a look from looking back from my car, and you can see Mazepin spinning there, and good reactions by the next car to avoid the incident there. Juan Manuel Correa. We'll see the onboard from him here, and can see the entire incident playing out up ahead. Very lucky not to get damage from that. That was a very close call. So good reactions by Correa to avoid that, and that will put Mazepin to the back of the field. But we once again have to overtake Calderon after all the effort before, and you can see how much trouble we're having going through these corners. There's still gravel and all sorts all over the tyres, but we're coming in this lap anyway, and or next lap I should say.
Pit window open. Let's box this lap.
So there we go, now the pit window's open, we can come in for our stop. You can see the time we've lost, but we gained it all back by the time we get to pit lane. And as we go into pit lane we close right up behind Calderon with the closing speed there. So let's hope for a good stop and see where we come out. Maybe we can jump Calderon if we have a good stop, let's see. So the work's done, but we're getting held because of cars coming in ahead of us, and that is a Lacey right behind us, so we've lost a lot of time. We were well clear of him when we came in, or not a lot of time, but we've lost some time, and
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
yeah, that will affect our race. We probably lost only a couple of seconds, but it's still very frustrating. As we come in right behind Calderon, you can see the gap there now is massive, but we go for a move into the chicane as we had a good run through 130R once again, but we just couldn't get it done on the outside of the second part of that corner. But we're going to have DRS this time on the main straight, and we're moving all over the place, right to left. We're on the outside of the first corner, and we get that move done on the outside, but we run wide, but we managed to hold on to the car and finally get that move done on Tatiana Calderon. So we move on, and the next two cars up ahead of us are Mick Schumacher and
We're increasing our gap to the car behind by around a second a lap.
Mick Schumacher and Callum Ilott. Schumacher's down the inside, pushes Ilott wide, and they're side by side through the first couple of corners. Schumacher's in the grass and actually makes it around the outside of Ilott. So good little move there by Schumacher around the outside of the grass. That was crazy driving there. but they've lost a bunch of time, and we're trying to close up as much as possible to try and maybe make a move into the hairpin. And as we get to the hairpin, we hesitate for a little bit, but we go down the inside of I a lot and get that move done. But I lost a lot of time there. I was very hesitant. It was sort of a half-hearted move, but we do get it done. And now we move on out of 130R, and Schumacher is placing his car very awkwardly, but we get down the inside eventually into the chicane, round the outside of the second part, and this time we finally
Brilliant. Nice move.
make that move work, and we are ahead of Mick Schumacher, finally up into P12. But we're still a long way from where I wanted to be in this race. The next car up ahead is Dorian Boccolacci, and we go for a nice move into the first corner and get that done. As he had a bit of a lock-up, we made a good switchback work there, and that was a very nice move. I enjoyed that one. The next car up ahead is Antoine Hubert, but there's a big gap to him and some carbon fibre on the road there, it looks like. So unfortunately, we were not able to catch up as hard as I tried, and that was basically it for this race, pushing really hard into the chicane for the last time, just throwing everything at it, trying to go for a fast lap, but it didn't really happen in the end with the mistakes. But P11.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Not really the result I wanted, but yeah, well, that happens.
Here they are then, coming into Parc Fermé. What an excellent win for the Dams team. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
And I can see our drivers making their way out now. It's been a sublime team performance, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. Dams are your winners today. And now, Davide Valsecchi, let me ask you, who is your driver of the day?
Lots of drivers impressed me today, Alex. But if I have to say one that impressed me most, it's Nobuharu Matsushita.
After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So unfortunately, that didn't really go as well as I wanted it to. So we only got P11 instead of the P8 that I said at the start of the video was the goal. But that's just the way it goes. Sometimes the races don't always go as well as you want. We had a long pit stop. We got stuck in traffic a lot. There are a lot of mistakes. But fortunately, this isn't Formula 1. This is Formula 2. So we still have the sprint race to do. So let's go. So here we are on the grid for the sprint race. 5 red lights. Lights are out and we are underway for the sprint race. It's been an alright start. We move across straight away to try and go off Schumacher, but we're not quick enough. He's alongside the red on the indicator there. And we make a little bit of contact with Boccolacci and Schumacher as we're 4 wide with Calderon on the outside there as well. We go back to 2x2 by the time we get through the first corner. And Schumacher is going to get the momentum and go around the outside there, and we have to slot into P12, so we've dropped a spot off the start line, but we did manage to stay ahead of Boccolacci and Calderon, who were side by side with us going into the first corner as well. So a crazy start there, 4 wide into the first corner, but we dropped the spot, so that's the start we needed. I'm hoping to get a podium in this race. That's the goal. So we'll try to move our way forwards after this. And
Okay, we're through the start phase. Now let's build on it.
we're going to go for a move on Schumacher into the hairpin. Thought about trying to pass Hubert, but that would have been a little bit too optimistic. And we just settled for P11 at the moment. We're still side by side with Schumacher, and we managed to go around the outside there. And the next car up ahead is Hubert. We're going to go for a move into the chicane. We make a sort of half move, and that doesn't quite pay off. We had to cut the corner and knock over the bollards on the inside to avoid contact, and that slowed us down way too much. And now Schumacher's actually looking speedy behind us once again, but he's not going to be quite close enough. And we're through the first corner. We're going to close right up to behind Hubert. We'll have a little look to the outside, but that's not a wise idea to go there. We had a little look to the inside there again, just to see if an opportunity would present itself, but we move on to the hairpin. We're going to go for a move here, and we finally get past Hubert as we're side by side actually on the exit.
Good job, nice overtake.
And he's still there. We're squeezing into the inside and actually made a little bit of contact. We're in the grass trying to maintain control of the car, but we just managed to hold on. Here's the onboard with Hubert, and you can see us out in the grass there. He backed out of it as we were pushing him off the inside just about there. That wasn't intentional, but just misjudged the amount of space there on the inside. It's kind of an oddly shaped corner, but anyway, we move on, and we are now being held up by this train ahead of us, which is tail-ended by Sean Galeo, and we're going to go for a move on Sean Galeo here, and we get that done very deep into that corner though, and actually make quite significant contact there. So apologies to Galeo for that, but we need to get through here. Here's the replay. We went in way too deep there, but we can both continue, and I don't think he got damage from that, so I think it's all fine. But ahead of us now, we go for a big dive bomb on Latifi and Jordan King, who are too busy battling with each other and didn't bother looking in there, looking at who else was catching up to them, and we managed to pass both of them there. Here's on board with Latifi, and you can see the move. That was a very deep. We went very deep into that corner, but got away with it. Here's the onboard with King, and we actually thought I cut the corner there, but if you look on that angle, we definitely didn't. But anyway, that was a very aggressive move while they were holding each other up. But now we catch up to this battle between Delatraz, my teammate, as well as Sede Camera, who is seems to be going quite slowly, so we managed to actually pass both of them there, and Nick de Vries up ahead as well. And
Brilliant maneuver, 2 places at once.
Yes, we do pass 2 cars at once, Jeff using that radio message at the right time for a change. But Nick de Vries up ahead, as well as Sede Camera behind me, seem to be going very slowly. You can see through this corner, it just seems so slow. So we actually can't even get a good exit because he was holding us up so much. We're slightly alongside, but he's got the straight line speed, it seems. And he just, I think he must have some damage from something. I'll see if I can find a replay of that later. But yes, de Vries is definitely struggling in this race. And as we go through the chicane, he's actually going to pull off the road and make a pit stop. We just about avoid contact. I was not expecting that at the time. And having a look here, he's got front wing damage on both sides, and that's why he is making a pit stop. That's too much damage to continue with. So we move on, and this is the next car ahead of us, Luca Giotto, and he has damage as well to the left side of his front wing. So there are a lot of cars with end plates off in this race, and because of all that, we are actually up into P4, and if we pass Giotto, we will be on the podium. So this race has been absolutely crazy. We've gone flying through the field, but anyway, because Giotto's got damage, we managed to make a very nice switch back through the first corner, and his speed in the long sweeping corners is very bad, and he's not pitting. His damage isn't quite as bad as de Vries. I think he's only got 1 end plate missing, so he thinks it's worth continuing on, but we'll have to see who gets the points at the end of the race. But we're now up into P3, so we've actually already achieved our goal. And looking at this now, this is Nikita Mazepin, who had the spin in the last race, is retiring with some kind of failure, and pulls up at the edge of the road. And then not even a lap later, this is Nicholas Latifi, who we just overtook before, also retiring. So a couple of failures at the end of this race. Meanwhile, we're turning our Formula 2 car into a rally car, as we lost control there on the last lap. I was trying to push for a fastest lap once again. We already have the fastest lap, that said. But anyway, that was pretty much the end of the race. I didn't really have anything to catch the lead, as we were held up by de Vries so much. So that was really it. So that race ended very suddenly. There was nothing to show in all the last half of that race.
Brilliant stuff from Campos today. What a superb victory. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
I think they kept a cool head. That's why they won today. Smooth, steady, everything bad that happened to them, they handled it calmly and professionally. That's what let them focus on getting the best out of everything else. The car, the strategy, they managed to keep out of trouble the whole way around.
It's time to present the top drivers with their trophies for today's race, and there are a lot of people in the paddock very happy with this result. It's Campos on the top step. And so, driver of the day then, Davide Valsecchi, who do you think you'd go for?
Nobuharu Matsushita is my favorite one. Today was amazing. He made so many overtakes.
That's it for today's race. From Davide and I, it's goodbye, and we'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
So we ended up third at the end of the day, which is the goal I said at the start of the race. But I will admit that I was very lucky with De Vries, Giotto and a couple of others getting damage in that race. But anyway, looking at the results, because of all the craziness, Sean Galayle ended up 5th, Boccolacci ended up 7th, so a bit of a crazy result for them considering where they started. But anyway, looking at the bottom of the results screen, we've obviously got Latifi and Mazepin who retired. We've also got Sadi Camera, De Vries, Mick Schumacher is back there, Giotto is back in 10th. But here's what happened to De Vries, passing Aitken for the lead, or trying to, rather. He got it all wrong, and yeah, just made contact with the inside, similar to what Mazepin did in the first race, and spun around on the inside. Here's the onboard with Giotto, and he was very unlucky, just got a little touch, but on the front wing, there's Sadi Camera into the back of De Vries as he come back onto the racing line. And this is another thing that happened. This is Mick Schumacher, and he decides to make a big dive bomb around the outside of everyone here, and manages to make it work. He made up a good couple of positions. He's battling away with, I think that's Jordan King there, and as he's going along the main straight, he decides to go for another move, and same thing, hits the inside of another car, and spins around and drops him to the back of the field. So that's what happened to them. That's the highlights, if you like. So that's it for this video, this challenge, the last question mark challenge at Suzuka Circuit in Japan in Formula 2 cars. If there's any other challenges or experiments you want me to try, let me know in the comments, and I'll try my best to get around to them if they seem interesting. And other than that, thank you for watching. I will be continuing my 2018 F2 season that I'm running alongside my normal career mode, driving as Roberto Merri, and I will also start a F2 2019 season, and I'm not sure who would be driving in that yet, but we'll find out when I start that series. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.